Hey guys, you might have seen my recent podcast episode with Fabiano Caruana, the legendary Fabi, second best rated player in the world currently, arguably one of the greatest chess players to ever live. And at the end of this podcast episode, which I really recommend you should watch, the link is in the description below if you missed it, at the end we played a chess game. I'm a mere candidate master, so I required some odds to make it fair. So Fabiano's agreed to play 1 minute against my 5 minutes. Such kind of time odds. The game was really fascinating, so I'm going to show it to you, explaining the moves, and it was really back and forth in some aspects. At some point, Fabi was walking on a very, very, very narrow lane. So let's see how it went. I'm playing white, so here we have the Sicilian defense, and I play the knight c3, the close Sicilian, to avoid the main lines, which Fabiano knows perfectly well. He is one of the strongest in terms of knowing opening theory in the world. Knight c6 is one of the theoretical responses, and this is a rare line with bishop b5. My intention is to trade here and then to put my pawns on these squares and attack, maybe go here, castle short, and attack on the king side. That is the point of this line. So here I trade, he trades, I do what I told exactly, put my pawn forward. The position is more or less equal, and this is all theory. And here I castle, he castles, all logical. This maneuver is very standard in this variation. The queen wants to go here to pressure the king side of black, and with various f5 ideas, with various bishop h6 ideas to trade off this black dark squared bishop. So let's see what Fabi does. He uses the semi-open file with his rook, very logical. All moves made within seconds, very impressive. I move my queen, and he moves e6, which is a little bit inaccurate, the computer says. Here I could have exploited this move by pushing my e-pawn, e5. This is the strongest response for white, and you see by the evaluation bar that I have some slight advantage in this variation. For example, the computer gives knight d5, queen takes, rook takes, and knight e4 as the strongest move in this position. So if he takes, for example, I just take, it doesn't matter, and this pawn will fall. You cannot protect this pawn. This pawn is too weak. And the best response maybe could be to sacrifice it like that, but it's not very good for black. I have a decent advantage. Taking here is not good. Best is to go here right away, but still, I'm up a pawn in this position. Yeah, he has some counterplay, but this endgame is quite pleasant to play. So this I missed, unfortunately. I missed e5. I didn't know that this was the right idea. I thought I should attack him. I should not be afraid of Fabiano Caruana, because that's what he wants me to be. He wants me to tremble in front of the great player, and I decided that is not the right approach, and I attacked him f5, which is a bad move. The computer screams that this is just a stupid move because black just takes with the e-pawn. And the problem is that in this variation, I often want to put bishop either here or here, but in this case, I automatically do that, and I blunder this pawn. I completely forgot about it. I was very nervous. You know, when you play such top players, 2800 rated player, you just make stupid moves. You know, many people say things like that about Magnus. The Magnus effect. People, when they play against Magnus Carlsen, they play worse than they play against mere mortals. So the same was in action here for me, the Fabi effect. I was too scared. Maybe I didn't want to be scared, but of course I was like very scared to make some stupid blunder, and I made a blunder. I blundered this b2 pawn, which is not too important probably if I attack, but still being down a pawn against being down 2 pawns, because he took this pawn and he took this pawn. Against Fabiano is like suicide. But still, I have some chances. And this is not the end of the game. Actually, I told you about back and forth. Stay tuned. Rook f2. This protects the c2 pawn. So at least I'm trying to pretend that everything is okay. I will, my other rook will join the attack. Maybe later on, he develops his rook. And I protect this pawn because it was under 3 attacks already. Well, this knight is pinned to the queen, but this will change sometime later on. And yes, this changed immediately. This is a clever tactical shot, so I have to take. It looks like a pawn sacrifice, but in reality, Fabiano found a fork here, and he will win my rook for his knight, but thank God I had this clever retreating move. Queen c1 from h6 to c1. Retreating moves are the most difficult to find in chess, and I'm glad I found it quite in a short time span. The idea is to take his rook when he takes mine, and he doesn't win an exchange. He just lost a pawn. So now I'm down not 2 but 1 pawn, which is better than being down 2 pawns. I take his rook, he takes mine, and he gallops back with his horse. An interesting trajectory his horse has here. So first it went here, then it went here, then it went here, and then it retreated back here. Funny trajectory. I'm still down a pawn. I'm still worse, but not as much worse as I used to be. Well, it's understandable. Fabiano cannot play like a computer. He is a human, and also he has just 1 minute on the clock. So you should not blame him for making not perfect moves. So I kick back his knight. The trajectory of the knight continues, and it goes here to die because I take it. And here, actually, I rushed it a little bit. I was unsure what to do, and I immediately decided, okay, this rook is stupid on this file. I should move it here and pressure down this file. But I forgot that I had a queen that could be activated like that, queen b8, which is a very nice move. Pressuring down here, attacking this pawn, creating some counterplay. This is the strongest engine recommendation. But I moved my rook to f1, also an okay move still. He moved his king here to avoid, maybe the pin on the 8th rank. That's the idea, I think. I didn't ask Fabi. I moved my queen to this square to prevent queen infiltration by black from this square, and also maybe to move my queen somewhere here in future, maybe to put pressure on the king side. Also, I'm trying to make moves fast because Fabi is down on time, and I need to exploit this because obviously on the merits of the position I would lose against such a great player, being worse, being down a pawn, etc., etc. He moves his queen out, tries to pressure me, and here I try to harass his queen. I go rook f4, attacking his queen, and here he falls into my trap. Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially in a winning position against the second best player in the world, Fabiano Caruana, because his queen is trapped if I go h4. I didn't see it. Unfortunately, had I seen this, maybe this game could have taken a different route. I don't think I would have won, but maybe I could have drawn with a queen against the rook and the minor piece. So the best response for black is to go g5, because otherwise my move will be knight e2, attacking the queen, and the queen has no moves. Has no retreating moves. So this square is taken by my pawn. This square is taken by my rook. This square also taken by my rook. Here my pawn protects these squares, and here my queen protects these squares, and this is protected by my king and my rook. So no squares for the queen. The queen is trapped. Fantastic missed opportunity for me, h4. I didn't think about that move. But I continued harassing the queen. The best response, I forgot to say, is g5. So I go knight e2, and he could have sacrificed his queen for a rook and a bishop. In this position, he has a rook and a bishop for a queen, and a pawn, actually. But my position is much better. I don't think I would have won, but I could have drawn this position. I could have gone here, for example, bishop e6, queen takes here, for example, or maybe a4 first, and then queen takes. Not a bad position, and very pleasant to play with a queen against two not so well coordinated pieces. But alas, I missed this opportunity. I went knight e2, trying to harass this queen, but this queen could find a way out in this position by moving queen to g5, which Fabi promptly found, and the queen is free now and out of danger. So probably he's seen it. I don't know, the opportunity to trap his queen. Maybe not. It was too short time control to notice everything. Here I set up another trap, which he almost fell into. You can see in the video that he's almost making another move, and then he's like, oops, I almost blundered. Because had he moved, for example, like, I don't know, his bishop, for example, like here, I would have a very, very cunning move, rook h4 check, and the queen is suddenly attacked. So he has to give up his queen just for a rook, and this is a winning position. This I could have won. Probably queen against a rook. Well, I'd be ashamed if I failed to win this. But yeah, Fabiano saw this. Finally, he told me he didn't understand the point of the move g3. He didn't realize that this is the idea. But then he saw it, and he promptly retreated with his king out of danger. So now this is not a check anymore. I still attack his queen. The queen moves back. I try to protect this pawn with my knight, but it's already collapsing because a pawn break d5. Always look for pawn breaks in positions. When you have a pawn break, it often is a very powerful move, and here it is. I cannot obviously take because of a fork. And this pawn, e4 pawn, will fall. I try to create some shenanigans on this diagonal by pinning the rook, but he just blocks it and takes the e4 pawn. I take it, he takes it, he's dominating on the e-file. You can see this powerful battery. I have no choice but to exchange. And here I'm down 2 pawns already again, and the position is just horrible for me because these white squares around the king are so weak. This bishop will come to life here or here, and my position will collapse. I made a couple of more moves. He attacked my knight. I moved it. He checked me. I had to block with my queen, and he just calmly traded. He could have attacked me, but he just calmly traded and taken. And look at these pawns. Triple pawns. I don't know. I'm not sure if Fabiano Caruana ever had in his career, in his classical career, triple pawns. If you know such games, please tell me. This is a very rare occurrence, but these triple pawns are very powerful, and they march together down to victory. So here I resigned because I cannot do anything. The pawns take away all the squares from my knight. The knight cannot move. These squares are all taken away, and this square is taken away by the bishop, and I cannot come in with my king because the bishop and the pawns also limit my movements. So it is just lost for me. He can do anything. He can slowly move his king, for example, here, and advance and win this game. So I resigned here. It was a very, very interesting game, and I'm glad that at some point I almost tricked Fabiano, and obviously I never hoped to win against such a formidable opponent, but this was a real privilege playing him. And if you like this video, check out my podcast with Fabi, and check out my other videos where I analyze my games against Jan Nepomniachtchi. We also played a fascinating game in the King's Gambit with him, and against Daniil Dubov. And against other less strong opponents against whom I sometimes am able to show some interesting chess. See you. Bye-bye.